Now is a good time to talk about our last programming project, the animation library. The file name is called Homework Project 14, and it has three mandatory technical requirements. First is that you need to reuse our frame animation class, just like we have in our sample code. Or you can write your own class if you'd like, but what I recommend is to simply copy and paste this class frame animation into a separate Python source file and import it in your main program. Second requirement is that I want you to create your own class named animation library. Likewise, in a separate source file, which you can also import in the main program. And the member functions of this class will consolidate support for different kinds of animations. The important requirement is that because it's a library, your program must support at least two different animations, right? Because it's a library of animations, so at least two animations, or you can add more if you'd like. All right, so, and it's okay to reuse any of the existing animations from this week's zipped sample code, right? So all the sample code that already contains different animations, it's fine to reuse in your library. And the third mandatory requirement is that it's all about the user interface. So I want to see a simple menu of choices for the user. For example, play car racing animations, practice foreign language vocabulary, which I'll describe a little bit in more detail later on. Play animated jokes, anything else. Exit program is one of the choices. And this is just an example, right? So this is not a list of required animations or something that I require you to do. Basically, you need to decide on your own which subjects in the world interest you the most, and you can definitely make it practical and useful in many different ways. So the next part of this handout right here is just an advice, so we can walk through the set of ideas that you might try to implement based on our samples and based on your own imagination. So I really would like you to focus on something that could be practical and useful, just like a study material. For example, your program could help people to learn a foreign language. So, you could animate a series of native and foreign language spoken phrases and synchronize the text with text-to-speech generated voiceover. Okay, so you can basically display some vocabulary, some phrases in other languages, and complemented with playing MP3 files. Earlier this semester, we talked about GTTS library, which is super simple to use, which is a Google text-to-speech library. So you can very simply create MP3 files for your learner community, right? And the usability of a foreign language program, if you decide that this would be something that interests you, could benefit from giving user a choice to create their own vocabulary items. Dynamically, you could generate MP3 files and accept new inputs from the user. And basically save the generated MP3 sounds. This is, again, none of this is a requirement. It's just a set of maybe ideas that could attract your attention, and you'd say, this is something that I'd like to try in my own program. Other type of program that requires text-to-speech It could be just any sort of question and answer game, or some kind of riddle program, or a program that shows jokes. I mean, anything that's sort of like text and text to speech, the voice over. Any animation library, of course, would benefit from possibility to save and load animations in a file, similar to what we did with our context dictionary earlier in our programming projects. So this opens up a great possibility that if you maintain a readable and usable format of the file that you can save and load back into your program, it just opens up a great possibility for the user to use an external text editor to edit the content of animations that they can load into your program and start playing back and use it as they see fit. Of course, we already discussed that a very popular text animation is newsfeed or cartoon-like display of anything like trains and boats and airplanes and so forth, people, animals, with the relevant background sounds. So if this is like a cartoon or anything educational or whatever, this is fine. Like you could animate like passengers boarding a train, okay, or a sailing boat, anything. It's just the limit is your imagination. And also, if you'd like to stay with the topic of F1 car racing, which we still have one more example to go to talk about. So I'll just think about some innovative ways to animate the background or create new objects. Maybe you could try to display driver's view of the road. Just think about such possibility. Likewise, it's a rear mirror view. And also the car animation backgrounds in our samples here, which is especially the last sample right here, are all hard-coded strings, right? But instead, the program could generate random background strings automatically as when the program starts. So that would create some kind of, more variety in the animation playback. So the important thing is, of course, are just to make sure that you complete these 3 requirements: frame animation class, animation library class, and the menu. Okay, and at least 2 animations should be supported by your program.